Daniel Martinez and Paul DePrey of the National Park Service.
Fire! Ready! Aim! Fire! Ready! Aim! Fire! Detail. Attend. Hood. Ready. Point. Present. Up.
This is sacred ground.
Our first speaker, Paul DePrey, Superintendent, World War II Valor in the Pacific Monument, National Park Service.
As the Superintendent of World War II Valor in the Pacific National Monument, my responsibility is to ensure that as our new national monument grows, that we understand the full impact of all of the assets here on Oahu that help support this telling of the story of World War II. I can't think of a better place to commemorate the attack out here and this today's ceremony than where we are right here today, actually on the site of the battlefield. It's very important that we understand and we recognize that without our history, we don't have much of a future. We need to be able to hold on to that history. And we need to be able to make sure that those who follow us understand and appreciate that history. And the way that we do that is to ensure that when we want to tell a story of an attack, such as what happened 68 years today, or tomorrow, that we do so in places that are significant and that resonate, such as this place. Over the next couple of years, the National Park Service's mission is going to be growing. And as it grows, I'm very hopeful that Eva will be part of that growth. And I want to thank all of those who helped pull together today's commemoration, and I pledge to you that we will continue to work with you in the future. Thank you very much.
Would you please welcome Daniel Martinez, Chief Historian of the World War II Valor in the Pacific National Monument, National Park Service.
Good morning. Before we start, I'd like to have all Pearl Harbor survivors present stand and be recognized. All World War II veterans, please stand and be recognized. John, you didn't stop here, I don't think, and neither did Ray. And lastly, on a day like today, and those who came, all veterans, please stand and be recognized. I'm sure our veterans didn't know in the tent it was going to be that difficult. This is sacred ground, defined by the loss of American blood, a battlefield remembered by the Marine Corps, but not so much remembered here in Honolulu. Former Representative Moses pointed that out to us. The National Park Service commitment to this site began in 1991, and we did not do it alone. We did it with the Barbers Point Navy League. It was decided that the Park Service would extend its boundaries by putting a wayside exhibit on the proximate land in which this event took place. In 1991, a ceremony that was held on the late afternoon of December 7th, the Barbers Point Navy League Council and over 200 Marines, and among them Eva Marines, and the public gathered here, which brought a crowd of nearly 450 people. They all met in an area that has now been abandoned, but you can see the old monument, which was about a quarter mile from the golf course. it was decided that we would move the wayside exhibit where people could see it the most, and that was the golf course. The Barbers Point Navy League, and Al Shuhai, where are you? Al Shuhai is in the back. He and his group are instrumental in preserving that memory. They provided the funds to rehab that exhibit, and 2 years ago we put that exhibit back up to its status and right alongside the clubhouse at Barbers Point Golf Course, so that people that come to visit Barbers Point Golf Course will always be reminded of the historical events there. We ask that after the ceremony that you go there to learn the history and the detail that is depicted in that exhibit. This continued commitment of the National Park Service is present today because our superintendent is here. We have watched in awe at the activist John Bond taking on the task of public awareness. It hasn't been easy for John because John has not worked in the delicate halls of government, and in not having that knowledge has disturbed some folks in the way he has made his case. He has now been rescued by representatives like Representative Spiro, Representative Gebhardt, and others who have come to understand that John's awareness of this airfield and the awareness of all of us now. Look at this crowd. Who could imagine this many people would come today to honor this place? Through the history and preservation of this site, it makes us whole. And in making us whole, we remember why this place is important. It was about 2 weeks ago that I was part of a working party led by Brad Hughes and John Bond, in which we removed TV sets, mattresses, sofas, some unmentionables, and this field was cleared by people that care. Not too long ago, artifacts started popping up that are here. For those of us in the National Park Service, we know the value of battlefield archaeology. And make no mistake, John, this is your battlefield. The commitment that we now see of people coming to honor this past, and to the Marines that lost their lives here, and to the civilian population not that far away at Eva Plantation, this is now, along with the Railway Museum, becoming a cornerstone of local history. And that local history is now national history. It is our fervent hope that this will be preserved in the future. But preservation starts with people. People motivated by the idea that this is sacred ground. I offer that thought to all of you as I close my remarks, and that hope that all of you will return next year to honor the memory of the Marines that were here, the birth truly of marine aviation in the Pacific, and also one little footnote. There was a small squadron that was placed here just prior to the Battle of Midway. They were placed here because there was such mobilization going on at Pearl Harbor and at Hickam that they were needed to be placed out here for the space. Do you know who that squadron was? It was Torpedo Squadron 8. They would take off from here and rejoin their carrier, the Hornet. They would sail into history, and every one of those planes of Torpedo Squadron 8 that rested right here were lost. Only George Gay survived, but they became part of the national memory and part of the story of Midway. They were here. This was the last part of American territory they set foot on, and they gave their lives for the nation. Remembering Eva is not just remembering December 7th, but remembering the cavalcade of history that took place on this field. We honor them today. Thank you. This is sacred ground.